Shutterstock Music.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Black College Experience. It is Sunday, March 18th, 2018. I am one half of your Black College Experience team, Derek Thomas, down here in Baton Rouge, and we have the queen of Black College Experience, Diva Kels, in Atlanta, Georgia. What's going on, Kels?
It is another day, another week has gone by. The weekend is over, and I can't believe it. It just goes so fast. It takes forever to get here. It goes so fast. Needless to say, it's been a great weekend. A lot has happened in sports. Seems that all of our HBCUs have stopped dancing.
Well, in the NCAA tournament they have, but not in the NAIA. So
right,
we still have some alive on that end of the college sports spectrum. But
right,
it has been an awesome, like you said, awesome weekend. Yeah, we know about March Madness going on, but guess what? We don't care about all them upsets on this show. We talk about HBCU sports, Kels.
Right. And again, like I said, it's been so much going on, and we want to go ahead and jump right into it because in the second half we will have Xavier Floyd, which is a junior first baseman, Morehouse College, that will be calling in and giving us his story on him playing baseball and how he got to the point that he's at now. So we'll just go ahead and kick it off with some things that's going on, I say, around HBCUs and different things that's going on. So for everyone that doesn't know, Battle of the Bands will not be held here next year. Do you want to go ahead and talk about it, or?
Go ahead.
The thing is that they're taking a hiatus, and it's set to return in 2020. And the reason why is because Super Bowl is going to be held here next year. So why didn't they take another weekend? I don't know, but it just won't be held here. And for people have come both far and near for Battle of the Bands for years. They come, they actually anticipate, and it's a really large event. And for people that don't know, this past one was one of the largest, housing almost 70,000 people. So there was that not only, and I want to take this a little bit further. People don't understand. If you've never been to this event, it's a battle of the bands. It's bands. It's showcasing 8 to 10 bands. But for us, it is a great recruiting tool because all of the colleges are there recruiting. This is one of the major recruiting tools for HBCUs.
Exactly.
At Battle of the Bands, because they set up the college fair before Battle of the Bands, and the incentive is we give you free tickets, or some people get free tickets to go to Battle of the Bands after they go to the college fair. They give this however they choose to do it. And so with them pulling the Battle of the Bands away, they're pulling one of the major recruiting tools for HBCUs in January, which was that was a downfall because you're not only taking away the Battle of the Bands, you're pulling the recruitment because not only were you collecting applications and people applying, they actually had on-the-spot auditions on those days too.
Wow.
So you're pulling a lot of stuff away. I saw kids get awarded scholarships last year on the spot. So now you're pulling that recruitment tool away, and I get it. It's Super Bowl weekend. But why you couldn't change it to another weekend? Or not, excuse me. I get it that it's Super Bowl here, but why couldn't you change it? Because it's not the same weekend.
You're right. I mean, this is something that, of course, we can discuss back and forth on why this decision was made. I mean, it could have possibly been moved to another weekend. And like you said,
right.
This is a big recruiting weekend. So, college hopefuls, want to audition on the spot and receive those benefits like the students have done the past couple of years. We won't get that chance this year. I'm not sure if they're gonna, have something to replace that. Maybe not the Battle of the Bands. Maybe just, where you come and you audition. I mean, to me, that's like you said, that's taking away opportunities for college students. You just don't have the Battle of the Bands. You have opportunities for scholarships opportunities to build bridges for future scholarships for underclassmen. Because when you're there, you of course you're there, for the Battle of the Bands, but you're also networking, you're also meeting people, you're also meeting band directors, college recruiters, people just in general that could potentially impact, where you go to college. So to miss out on an opportunity like this, I think is sad. But I mean, Honda has its reasoning for doing it, but like you said, they could have chosen another weekend, no, we don't want to go up against the Super Bowl. That's why you choose another weekend, maybe before the Super Bowl or after the Super Bowl, so that you can continue this tradition of, not only putting on the show where the bands compete, but where students also can, possibly be awarded scholarship scales.
I agree. I totally agree. We're not trying to compete with that, but something that you had that's been a tradition for so long, and then you pull it. You're not just pulling a band. You're pulling the recruitment tool. That's a major recruitment tool, and we know how hard it is when it comes to the recruitment and the well-being of our universities. So when you pull one of these major tools, because they think that's the perfect way. Okay, what by any means necessary is what I call this. When we're recruiting, I call it by any means necessary. And when I say by any means necessary, you do whatever you got to do to get these kids in there by any means necessary. So if that's how you got them in there using Battle of the Bands, and they come by here first and then they go to Battle of the Bands, fine, because most of the times it's band members, and they're trying to, they're talking about bands and dancing dolls and all of that, but they want to talk about what they're going to do and what they're going to major in. They want to march in the bands or whatever. Then they go watch the bands, and you're pulling that recruitment tool. I don't care if they're coming to be in the band, but they still got to major in something. So Right. You're pulling that recruitment tool from under us, and it hurts. It hurts. It really does.
Definitely going to hurt the student that, would have benefited from getting an on-the-spot scholarship. But we do have a caller, and it's my line brother, Patrick Perry, who's been faithfully calling in every week. PP, we're talking about the Honda Battle Bands going on hiatus this year, but returning next year. And Keisha was informing me that, this is going to impact recruiting opportunities for young band hopefuls because they had on-the-spot auditions, on-the-spot scholarships awarded. Talk to us about what do you think about the Honda going on hiatus for a year and what potential impact it could have.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I didn't know that they was, going on hiatus this year. I know I saw them advertising about it earlier, this year, but I didn't know they was on a hiatus. Yeah. I mean, I know Valid travels around and offers on the spot stuff, so I can imagine when you're getting that many people in a single place as far as recruiting is concerned, that it just, it affects. I mean, there's no other way to look around it, but it does.
Right. And here, and the thing, with the HBCU Mecca that's in Atlanta, I mean, with all the young kids that are around there that want to be in the band or play for the band, I mean, this definitely impacts them. You can go to the HBCUs in the region, but all the HBCU directors who may have not been performing, or having their band perform in the Battle of the Bands, were there using it as a recruiting tool, and we just won't have that this year. What I think they could do, and what Keisha said, is choosing a weekend, or perhaps, have a smaller event where it's still sponsored by Honda, and it's just a recruiting, weekend. Maybe not the Battle of the Bands, but you have the recruitment, palooza for band students that they're normally used to. I just don't like the fact that this opportunities are taken away from HBCU hopefuls who want to perform in HBCU bands. So, Kel, do you have anything more on that?
I don't. I just think that, once again, it's just pulling the rug away from under them. When you look at, a potential when you're pulling all of these HBCUs that's there every year. Like I said, this past year, that was like one of the largest, almost 70,000 people. And when you're pulling that, you're not just pulling the Battle of the Bands, you're pulling the whole recruitment segment. So, I just think it was something they could have done to just change the date. But, hey, it is what it is.
Right. Okay, so now we're going to shift over to basketball, right?
Let's shift over to basketball, and let's talk about Texas Southern blowing past North Carolina Central.
Wow.
A lot of people had this conversation as to how North Carolina Central made it this far. And then I think Patrick might have said, a couple of people might have said, you get hot in tournaments. Anything can happen in a tournament. Anything. Anything can happen at tournament time. So, you can look at, because and the funny thing about Central, this has happened with them in basketball and football. Same thing happened last year when they blew past A&T, and everybody was trying to figure out how did that happen. Was it a fluke? And then you had the same thing that happens over here in basketball. They're asking, is it a fluke? Just people get hot at tournament time, and anything can happen. But go ahead, Derek.
All right. The young man flexing his muscles like he's a superhero was one of the smallest young men on the court. And when I say this man had a successful return from discipline issues this year, this young man, coming back, Trey Jefferson coming back, he was the sole reason that Texas Southern won the SWAC tournament in men's basketball. He led his team to a 64-46 first round historic win, and an all HBCU first four. Trey Jefferson was shooting threes, driving the basket, dishing assists. He was all over the floor. He looked like Allen Iverson for a moment. He was always on the floor, and the ball just kept going in the hoop, and he was like, I'm too strong. It was just an awesome experience to see these two HBCUs go at it in the first four of the NCAA tournament. I dubbed this the Black College National Championship game in men's basketball. That is what I dubbed this as, and that's what I'm going to say, that Texas Southern is now the Black College National Champion in basketball, unofficial by official means, but in my mind, hey, you had these two HBCUs going up against each other in the tournament of tournaments, and Texas Southern reigned supreme. They from the tip off, Texas Southern was the better team, and congratulations to Texas Southern on a successful season. They moved on to the first round where, the Magic ended, but they had a valiant effort. They were eliminated from the tournament by the number one seed, Xavier, by a score of 102-83. So, but they played their hearts out. Even though they lost by 19 points, they played, to the best of their ability with the number one seed. So congratulations to Coach Mike Davis. We got a little shine from Jim Fallon, highlighting Texas Southern. I just think that it was amazing, the run that Texas Southern put on once Jefferson came back on the court, Kills.
Also, Michael Strahan, he showed some love over there on Good Morning America. I think this is great exposure for not only for them, but also for the SWAC, just to see that. And, can't deny, even though, I guess the great thing about it is that in the school history, the first time, getting that win in the tournament. So that was a great thing. And a lot of people had that question, like, why are two HBCUs? Well, that actually looks good now. Now, if you sit back and look at it, it looks good. Because one of them had to win it.
Right. You could still say, put a spin on it that, hey, you put the black schools against each other. There's a positive and negative in that. We got this historic matchup that I'm dubbing the Black College National Championship game in men's basketball. But Texas Southern got their first win, albeit against an HBCU squad, but they still got their first win in the tournament. Still makes history. Would they have beaten someone else in the first four? We don't know, but they beat NCCU. That was a matchup. They handled business. Negative, positive. that's just the nature of of sports in my mind. Someone's always going to be positive. Someone's always going to be negative. Initially, I was negative. I was like, why they got two HBCUs playing each other? You know what I'm saying? That's less opportunity for one of them to move on. But then I was like, man, this is our Celebration Bowl in men's basketball. So I was on board with it. I agree with it. I liked it. I loved it. In the end, I loved it. So for someone who thought negative initially, and once I brainstormed on, I was like, yeah, I like this.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a commercial break before we go into this next.
All right, we will be right back in 31 seconds.
I already knew that I was going to go to college, from a young age. I definitely want to major in political science. After that, I'm going to get my law degree. Then I'm going to come back to Detroit, boost the economy, become the mayor or something, try to make the situation better for other people. I feel like I owe it to the city. I'm determined. It's going to happen. My name is Justin, and I am your dividend.
All right, we are back with more Black College Experience, and we have more tournament updates to bring you. Jumping over, staying in the SWAC, we had two other SWAC teams playing in the postseason. We had the SWAC champion Grambling State Lady Tigers. They had a mountain to climb, and what a mountain they ran into. They ran into a buzzsaw, which was the number 2 seed Baylor Bears, Lady Bears, and Grambling fell 96-46. And we just couldn't match up with Baylor in this game. I mean, the Grambling Lady Tigers gave their all. They played their hearts out, and just couldn't match up. Did you watch any of this game, Kels?
I didn't. I was out, but I did catch the highlights. And I think out of all of the games, this was probably the one game with the least. Because if you look at the other games, none of the other games were blowouts. Even with the Aggies, these other games were like 20 points. They had these schools on the line. I said, if y'all win, y'all not going to be invited anymore to stop. But seriously, this was probably the only game that had a big point deficit, 50 points. That's the only game I saw with the scores and the highlights, because everything else was like 18, 20 points or so, and they were fine. Even with Southern, we were, so I didn't. But go ahead with this game. Right.
The USC defeated national champions. Defeated North Carolina A&T Lady Aggies. Like you said, it was a highly contested game. The Lady Aggies were in this game, only losing by 9 points, 63-52. I mean, to play like that with the defending national champion, that shows that North Carolina A&T was not intimidated by the USC squad. I mean, everyone knows I'm a Mississippi State Lady Bulldog fan. This team gave Mississippi State their first loss, and they beat Mississippi State just as worse than they beat the Lady Aggies. So that lets you know that the talent the Lady Aggies have when they're on their game. Jumping over to the women's NIT, your Lady Jags fell to Alabama 69-56. I would have hoped that the Southern Lady Jazz could have, continued on their winning ways, but unfortunately they fell to Alabama. The third quarter cost Southern. So, Coach Pugh, of course, won the SWAC regular season champion, and this is the end of the college basketball career for Southern all-world forward Brianna Green. Also in the men's NIT, Hampton loses to Notre Dame 80-63 in the first round of the NIT tournament. And to wrap up our HBCU tournament coverage, in the NAIA, Langston and Dillard advanced to the second round of the NAIA basketball tournament after winning their first round games. LU knocked off number 1 seed Pikeville as J.J. Morris hit a fadeaway at the buzzer to give LU a 63-61 victory. So there goes our number 1 seed out. Dillard hit 3 or 4 free throws in the final minute to claim a 74-71 victory over 4th seeded Westmont, California on Thursday. The Xavier men lost to Oklahoma City on Wednesday. So right now we have 2 remaining HBCU squads in the NAIA tournament. So congratulations to those squads. And that's all I have for basketball tournament information. So congratulations on the HBCU squads, the men and women, for having successful seasons. Congratulations on valiant efforts in the tournament. I mean, it's good to see our HBCU squads fight with such heart, even though Grambling, lost by the amount that they lost by. It was painful to watch, but the Lady Tigers did not give up. They fought to the end. I mean, Baylor was just bigger. They were just bigger, They had trees out there for Baylor, and the Grambling Lady Tigers just could not contend with the size advantage that Baylor had. So, back to the drawing board for next season to see if the Grambling Lady Tigers can do what they did again, which was win the SWAC tournament. I guess we'll see what happens next year. That's all I have for baseball. So I watched the game again that the Lady Aggies played, and I was rooting for them to win because I wanted South Carolina to be out of there. You know what I'm saying? I wanted them out. So to see the Lady Aggies put up such a valiant effort, I just thought that was awesome. I thought it was amazing. I just thought that they was like, okay, yeah, we're playing against the defending national champions. We don't care. No one's expecting us to do much in this game. Well, they put a scare into USC and, saying this team from the HBCU ranks is not going to be intimidated by you. So, I can't wait to see, if this team can, bounce back and, see what they do next year when basketball season rolls around, Kels.
And so my question to both of you, do you feel like we competed on a level with these, aside of the Baylor-Grambling game, do you feel like these other HBCUs were competitive in the tournament? Do you feel like we were competitive?
PP, I'm going to let you go first.
Yeah, besides the Baylor-Grambling, I watched, like, the first half of that, and Hill she could only do so much because they were just cold from the beginning. You can't do that against a big team like Baylor. They was out of it within the first 10 minutes. So,
right.
Besides that, Texas Southern, yeah, Jefferson, everybody knew how good it was in the SWAC world or whatever, but he might have put in there next year in the NBA watch. Yeah, he
just a sophomore.
He might be 5'7". Yeah, I know. He said NBA watch going into his junior year. If he can just stay the course through next year or two. They had Xavier on the ropes, for most of that game until like the middle of that second half. That's when that game just got ugly, like fouls and technicals and all that, and it just got like ugly within that second half. And they played hard to the end, but they competed. I didn't expect Texas Southern to get blown out because they got too much experience with the transfers, with Jefferson and all that. They just got too much experience to just.
And then they actually, held a lead in this game. They had a 7-point lead at the 12-22 mark in the first half. Well, that lead was short-lived as, Xavier went on a 36-17 run to build their lead. And we have a caller on the line. Let's see here. And I'm guessing that is our guest because it is an Atlanta number. Area code 770-5037. You on with Black College Experience. Who do we have?
Yes, sir. This is Xavier Floyd.
All right, Kels. We have Mr. Floyd
I'm here. Okay, so before we start, we do, of course, now I'm going to give them your real name. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are you Zaytoven?
I, that is what a couple of people call me. Yes.
Okay, so that's his real name, Zaytoven. Of course, we gonna cut it up and call him everything that it's not. But he's Xavier Floyd is what I'm assuming he goes by. But again, he is coming from Morehouse, and for everyone or people that don't know, I've done a lot of work this season in basketball between Morehouse and Clark. My focus has been the SIAC. My focus has been in the AUC since I'm sitting right here in Georgia, and some other schools around here. But we do have, again, Xavier Floyd that is a baseman. He is a junior. He is from Decatur, so he is from, a senior. Decatur, where it's greater, as they want to call it out here in the A. He is out here playing baseball for Morehouse College. So we won't hold it up. We'll go ahead and get started. Derek, you can go first.
All right. So, I've been reading your profile here, on Morehouse's website. We'll talk about the stats later. And I was going to ask you about Zaytoven because it has it down here as your nickname. But, Kels has, let us know that is your first name. But I'm looking at this, your career aspirations. You want to be a certified public accountant?
Yes, sir. That is my end all be all. Yes, sir. That would be, yes, sir. That is what I'm trying to work towards.
Wow. What makes you want to be an accountant? Because is it just the love of money, or you like being able to balance books, or you want to be the person who can do taxes, and this time of year you'll be not hitting home runs, but hitting tax refunds for your customers?
Well, actually, growing up, my granddad was like a bookkeeper. He worked at a hospital, and I was raised on my grandparents. So growing up, one thing he always instilled in me was the value of $1. He would always say, if you have $1 bill and $100 bill, and you give a person both of those, and they don't know what the value of that $100 bill is, they'll go spend it just like it's a $1 bill. Exactly. So I've always appreciated money and wanted to know the deeper runnings of how money works in the system and all of that good stuff. So that's definitely what led me in the direction I'm headed in.
All right. And it's kind of, you have a healthcare, your grandfather worked in healthcare. I have a healthcare technology background, so I definitely understand, how important, bookkeeping in hospitals can be. So, then you want to own your own accounting firm. But I'm also seeing that you also play some football in high school.
Yes, sir. I did a little bit. I actually, growing up, I played all three sports. Baseball, of course, being the longest. Football, I picked up when I was about 8 years old, and I played offensive line and defensive line from about 8 to when I was 12. But at the same time, this was all in park ball, and at the same time I was doing that, I also had one of the stronger legs on the team, so I was the kicker.
Okay.
So, and I did excel very well, and then once I got to high school, my granddad told me that he felt like it would be better for me if I invested myself into one particular sport. So once I started ninth grade, I just started playing baseball only. But when I got to my senior year, we had lost our kicker from my previous 3 years, and I knew I could kick. And I thought, why not, hey, just go out there and give it a shot. So I was actually the kicker for my senior year.
Wow. So you kicked field goals, and were you the punter as well?
I did kickoffs. I did not punt, and I was only asked to do field goals when it required power. I was more of a power kicker more than accuracy. We had another kicker on the team who would do most of the extra points and short field goals because he was more accurate. But I was a
power kicker.
Yes, sir.
All right. And I'm seeing, your favorite baseball player is Albert Pujols. And you also in the video gaming, which I am also. I'm an avid video gamer. You know what I'm saying? My favorite video game, of course, isn't being made anymore, and that's the NCAA football game. But still play it.
Oh yes,
you play that?
Yes, I have a PS3 in my room. I have a PS3 and a PS4, and I have the PS3 just so I can play NCAA.
Yes, indeed. And I'm saying that you hit 3 home runs. I'm a former baseball player also. I played Little League from the time I was 10 to the time I was 17. So I played baseball.
Yeah,
for a
Derek,
long
and tell us
time.
how old you are now. Tell us
Huh?
how old you are now, Derek.
How
That
old
was
I
a
am
long
now?
time ago. Tell us how old.
Why you want to put me on the spot telling me that I'm old? I'm 37 years old. So, yes, it's been a long time since I have played some baseball. But I mean,
That's like 20 years ago, man.
Hey, I still got my trophies. You know what I'm saying?
It's still the same game.
I went to the batting cage last year. I still got a pretty good swing. You know what I'm saying?
Sure you do. Sure you do.
But I mean, it's just awesome, to see, a young man like yourself, already kind of knowing where he wants to be once he finishes his undergraduate studies, the desire to be a CPA, the desire to own your own accounting firm, because that is a field of study with our society being dominated by finance that is always going to be viable. So, I may need you to do my taxes once you, finish your studies and get all your licenses and things of that nature. Kills?
Okay. So let's go here. Now, you're here in the city of Atlanta, and, you've been playing baseball. You played football before. How did you decide that, okay, this is where I want to go? I want to go to Morehouse, and I want to play baseball. How did you choose Morehouse as the college that you wanted to go to pursue the baseball?
It's actually a long story, and
we have time.
I guess
Don't worry.
I just want to say, I guess we have time. Out of high school, I've always loved baseball. But one thing I never got was a lot of exposure because we didn't necessarily have all the money to go to the showcases and to go out to the tryouts and to do all these things with traveling. So I didn't get many looks. And it's actually a funny story. I had 3 scholarship offers to kick in college, and I only had 1 scholarship offer to play baseball out of high school, and it was Morehouse College. So initially, when I got the offer, he saw me pitch, and he said he had been watching me throughout high school, and he came to see me one game, and I pitched, and I did very well, and he offered me a scholarship. But it was not my initial plan. I had already decided where I wanted to go to college when he offered me that scholarship. And my initial plans were to become an air traffic controller. And the only school in Georgia, and I want to stay close to home, and the only school in Georgia that offered an air traffic control degree was Middle Georgia College. So I had already decided that's where I wanted to go. My best friend was coming with me. He was also my teammate in high school on the baseball team. And we had planned to go down there and try out for the baseball team. And I never doubt myself. I always knew I don't care where I'm going. If I go down there, I can try out for the baseball team and I can make it. Regardless if I'm playing, if I'm sitting on the bench, or if I'm starting, I can at least make the team. That was the mindset I had. So I was going down there for the degree, but I was going to make the baseball team. We get down there, me and my best friend, and we want to try out for the baseball team. And unfortunately, we never got a tryout. The coach kind of gave us the runaround. We visited his office multiple times trying to get a tryout, and we never did. And it actually, I think it all worked out in the end. I think it was just God's plan for me. After my first semester there, the FAA, who hires air traffic controllers, because it's government regulated, you only get hired by the FAA. And once you get the 2-year degree, you can be hired, or if you go through the Air Force. And I was choosing the 2-year degree. After my first semester there, we come back for the first day of classes of the second semester, and they call all of the air traffic control majors into one room. And they give us a message basically saying the FAA has changed the requirements to be hired. You no longer need the 2-year degree. Like, it's not required, and they don't take it into consideration if you have it. So essentially, there's no point in getting the degree. Even if you get it, it doesn't mean anything. So another way it was a random hiring process. So if you had any 4-year degree, you can still apply to become an air traffic controller. And they'll just do the hiring every 4 years or every so often. So I could essentially go get any degree I wanted to and still have a shot to become an air traffic controller and work towards something else. So I kind of saw this as the opening. I wanted to play baseball. and I wanted to be a little closer to home. So as soon as we got out the meeting, I called Coach Mitchell, the coach who offered me my scholarship to Morehouse. And I called him and asked him if I could, and it was funny. I said, I was wondering, Coach, if I could still come out there and have a tryout, thinking about transferring. So he says to me, well, son, you don't got to try out for me. I already know what you can do. And he immediately started telling me everything that I need to do in order to transfer. He started helping me get my papers together. And I called and talked to my parents. They approved of it. They know the reputation that Morehouse has, and they thought it was the best move for me anyway. So we definitely made that move, and that is the story of how I got to Morehouse.
Now I'm gonna drop this in, and I say I'm old. I'm right there in the same bracket with Derek. I call myself old Southern University. I'm sure he called himself old Mississippi Valley. I call myself old alumni because I was in the 90s era. I was in the end of the 90s. So that right there, that story within itself tells you about HBCUs. That story within itself tells you about a HBCU versus a PWI or another school in another conference. Mm-hmm. It's a total difference. And that was going to be my next question. When you transferred, the difference that you saw, what were the differences that you saw as far as, let's say education-wise, but as far as classing, the nurturing, as far as the teachers, as far as all that? What was the difference? Because, I mean, we know it was two totally different things.
Most definitely, and I've never actually thought about it because I did spend the entire year of my life down there, and it's in Cochran, Georgia, in the middle of Georgia, and the campuses are totally different. So I guess I have experienced the PWI and the HBCU, and just coming here, first of all, just being around a lot of people who are a lot of black people, a lot of people who I grew up around in high school. I went to high school in Decatur, and everybody in the school was predominantly black. So that's what I was used to growing up around. That's what I felt more comfortable around. I feel like I worked better in that environment. So to go to Middle Georgia and then to come back here, it gave me a totally different appreciation for my people and my culture. To have my brothers around me on this campus is one of the most inviting and at the same time humbling places, because you have so many guys around you who are doing so great. They're doing so many great things, and you wouldn't even know. I have a guy down the hallway who writes letters to President Obama on the regular, and it's just you wouldn't even know that because he encourages me every day to just be a better person. The campus is just a completely different place. The teachers are more personal. Going to class is much easier to talk to your classmates. It's hard to put into so many words the differences in the two campuses, but it's a huge difference.
So basically, your black college experience was way better than your PWI experience in so many words. Correct?
Yes, that is.
You heard it here, folks. You heard it here, folks. You know.
I must say, hands down.
All right. So,
go ahead.
Talk to us about your season so far. Baseball season. I mean, you're over. Right. I looked at the stat. I looked at the record. Y'all are 0-3 in the early SEAC standings. What do you have to do to right the ship to get some more W's in the win column?
That is something, and that we're fresh off of that from yesterday too. We're actually having as far as compared to last season, which we're trying not to do as a team. We have a new head coach. We have a new mindset. We're just a different team this year with even more talent. So we're trying not to compare ourselves to last year, but just to do it, we won 8 games last season, and we're already at 9. So that's an improvement already. We have about 18 more games to play. But as far as meaning to the season, you're correct. The SIAC wins, conference wins are definitely what matters. We had a rough weekend. We started out against the last season's SIAC conference champions, Miles College, and we let the first game slip away from us. We started out hot. We went up big, 4 or 5 runs in the 4th or 5th inning, and we came back and gave up runs in the bottom of that inning to let them tie it up. And then errors in the game, late in the game, cost us. And that game slipped away from us. And you can't help but think if you win that first game, how the rest of the series might go. So I kind of feel like that loss snowballed into 2 more losses that led to a sweep. And we have a bunch of young guys on the team led by a few solid seniors. And just us as seniors need to know we have to stay the course. We've already seen the culture change. We can't let these 3 losses get us down. Those were the conference champions last year, which is essentially the best our conference has to offer. So we can't let 3 losses to a very good Miles team get us down. We got to come back this next weekend. We see Claflin, who we beat 1 time last year out of 3 games, which should have been 2 last year. So I'm definitely hoping to go out and get the sweep this weekend. And I would love for my guys to feel what it's like to get a conference sweep, because growing up all my life, I've played on good teams, and we've always had a winning culture. And we have a bunch of great young freshmen coming up behind us, sophomores too. And I really want them to feel what it's like to be a dominant team, to be a winning team, a successful team.
Well, I said, yeah, they were 0-7 in the beginning.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right.
Oh, well, I'm definitely honored. I appreciate that.
And I'm gonna
Definitely,
come over there.
I'll be sure.
I'm gonna come over there and watch. Make sure you get it done. I'm gonna come over there and watch a couple of games to make sure y'all get it done. I will
Yes, ma'am.
that
Please.
way. So, go ahead. I know basketball is a rivalry for y'all. Football, I would say, per se. In baseball, is Clark also your rivalry as well? Because I know Miles would probably be one. But is Clark also a rivalry for y'all in baseball?
Yes, ma'am. Most definitely. Miles is definitely a rival. Yeah, it's you got to compete when they're right next door. No matter what you're doing, you got to compete against them. Since I got here, I've definitely felt from the seniors and the upperclassmen when I was a freshman or transfer freshman, the rivalry heat between Clay and Clark, and I adapted it very quickly. Even now, it's just a fire that comes out of you. 2 weeks ago, and I was actually nursing an injury to my back from playing Clark Atlanta earlier that week. And I was talking to him, and he was telling me how some of their young freshmen are coming in with that fire to beat Morehouse like my class did when we came in. And it was funny that we feel like it should have been a sweep. We won 2 out of 3 games, and I'm a very defensive player, and I've made probably a top 3 play I've ever made in college, probably in my life. In that Clark Atlanta game, it was a diving catch over in front of their dugout, in front of Clark Atlanta's dugout for the 3rd out of the inning. And one thing about playing Clark that also makes it so intense, that's when the most fans come to the game. Students, parents, alumni, everybody comes out to the Clark Atlanta Morehouse game. And just to have that energy, that vibe when we play them, it also makes your game just go to another level. So I definitely love playing Clark. And even with some of the guys across from there, I played against them growing up. Ryan Betts, my guy JoJo Holmes graduated last year. I played with a lot of them in DeKalb County and in the Atlanta surrounding areas. So that makes the rivalry even just more personal.
Right.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you. You said you hit a grand slam. I was also looking at your stats. The 3 home runs you hit. In the A, was it the A? The AABC.
Double ABC. Yes, sir. That happened a good while ago, but that's just something you just can't let go. Something you just can't forget. And it's funny to see because I remember to this day the 3 guys who I hit those home runs off of. And it was the regional tournaments. We were trying to go to the AABC World Series, which is out in Panama City. So it was definitely a big performance.
That was in high school?
No, I was in middle school. This was park ball. This was a while ago. So and the 3 guys who I hit it off of, one, Chris Woods, who played high school baseball at Arabian Mountain. He was very good. Kendall Ford, he plays shortstop for Georgia State right now. And Brandon Baker, who's the pitcher for Georgia State. And it's good to see all those guys doing great and that I can still remember their names. We just played Georgia State a couple of weeks ago, and I got to see him and play against them again.
Did you remind them that you hit a home run off of them?
Sir?
Did you remind them that you hit a home run off of them in Little League?
Every time I see them, I bring it up. I always bring it up, and they laugh and we joke it off, but it's just something that we all laugh about.
Yes, indeed. That's just that was the start of your your trail. Leading you on the path that you're on now. So it's good to have memories like that, and hopefully with your senior season at Morehouse, you can make some more lasting memories to tell your kids and your grandkids about. Once you have that accounting firm and you're on the rise as a nation's #1 or nation's top 5 accounting firms in America. So I'm gonna put that in your future. You know what I mean? You're a Morehouse man. Sure. And we all know the history and prestige that comes with being a Morehouse man. You're bred to succeed in whatever you do. You know what I'm saying? Especially once you earn that degree. So, that's what I was told about Morehouse men. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
PP, you have any questions for Xavier?
No.
Okay, Kels?
I do. Okay, so we like any other sport, basketball, football, any other sport, the ultimate goal is to go pro. People always want to go pro, and we all know that we can't all go pro. In your case, Major League Baseball would be one of those things. Now, have you ever considered playing for the minors? Have you ever considered that as an option would be my first question. And then my second question, early on you said I didn't get a chance to go to any of the showcases. Now, I know they did a showcase here last year, I want to say, for all HBCU baseball, and that was going to be my second question. Did you hear about that showcase?
Okay, to answer the first question. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, you lost me with the second question. I was
too many questions. Okay, so the first question was, have you ever considered the minors?
Oh, okay, yes.
And then the second question, of course, was, did you know about the showcase that was here last year?
Okay, about playing minor league baseball, most definitely. I feel like every kid that picks up a baseball and loves it and wants to play professional baseball. I feel like the best chance I had to play professional baseball was to be a pitcher. I was an excellent pitcher growing up, and my pitching career kind of got cut short. I had Tommy John surgery on my elbow, and that was kind of from growing up. And I had a very good curveball growing up, and my park ball coaches weren't necessarily too big on physical care. And my grandparents didn't necessarily know too much about it either. So just doing that over and over again, it eventually climaxed, and I tore my elbow. And I had to have surgery on that. So I didn't pitch much more after that, but I definitely continued to play first base, and I learned how to adjust my arm to make it not hurt as much doing certain things. But as far as playing professionally at first base, I definitely still want to give it a shot. If I can find a tryout or some showcases to go to, whether it be some other professional league, not Major League Baseball or minor league baseball, but whether it just be some league out in Arizona that's paying a couple of maybe $50,000-$60,000, and I get to, if I can play, if I can get paid to do what I love to do, I would definitely pursue that opportunity. So it definitely is still something that I hope is in my cards. We'll see.
And the reason why I asked is because it's just ironic. This white guy that I work with, his daughter played softball at Alabama State, and her now husband played baseball at Alabama State, and he's playing in the minors. So that's why I asked, and I'll definitely ask him because I mean, of course, that's not my process. I don't know that, but that's definitely it's always like Derek says. You don't always have to go. We don't have to always go into the NBA or the NFL. There's the CFL. There's always overseas. There are always other avenues in going pro if you want to continue that dream or that passion or that sport that you're doing. So that was just one of the things. It's always another avenue to continue to doing what you want to do.
Yes, most definitely. And to answer your question about that showcase, I did not hear about that particular showcase. I know Morehouse held a showcase or attended a showcase that my coaches went to and saw a couple of guys. But as far as HBCU showcase, no, I did not hear about that.
Okay, so this is, and I know I can't remember, but I remember, I think it was like a weekend I was away, but I remember it was like all of these HBCUs did a baseball showcase, and I actually know a guy here that graduated from Southern. Like he does this whole, he had a whole facility. Baseball was his thing because he played baseball and he was a coach at Southern. So any information that I get, showcase or anything, I'll make sure that I pass it on because that's part of our mission. That's part of our mission. To make sure y'all get the exposure, y'all get the information. Whatever you do with it is up to you. But as long as we get it to you, we know that we've done what we said that we were going to do on our side.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We will. It'll be greatly appreciated on this end.
All right, Derek, you got anything else?
No, I was looking for that information so I could bring them up because it was an ATL Metro REI playing spring HBCU baseball showcase.
That's it.
Their
that
article
was it.
ran March 7th. Have you ever heard of ATL Metro?
Oh, I was a year off. Wonderful.
ATL Metro. That it sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't want to say yes.
Yeah, it's basically reviving baseball in inner cities. perhaps we can put you in touch with that organization, and who knows, you could either help yourself or help another young baseball player reach his goals as far as want to become a college baseball player, because you have an amazing story. I mean, to want to be an air traffic controller, to be in college in class, and to have I guess you could say a detour of your college education to end up at a prestigious institution like Morehouse, and to continue playing the sport that you love, and to create new goals and new dreams for yourself with that detour, and be on the cusp of achieving those goals. I mean, you could inspire some young man or young woman, to pursue their goals, or when one door closes, or when you have to take another path to reach your goals. I mean, your story is definitely a story that can inspire. That's inspirational in my book, and that's all I have. I want to just say that to you, and we're gonna be, I'm gonna be watching, the Morehouse baseball season just like I watched my Delta Devils. I'm a Mississippi State University graduate, so I'm gonna be rooting for y'all for the season, unless y'all end up having to play against Valley, and I'm gonna have to root for my Delta Devils against you. So I'm gonna need you to go 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Okay.
And it looks like in the case of what you pulled up, Derek, with the looks like this spring showcase is going to be coming up in mid-May. So as this information comes available, of course, we'll keep you posted.
Okay, definitely. I definitely look forward to getting the information from you and keep looking into it myself.
Okay.
All right, you have anything?
And that's all I have, Derek.
That's all I have for Xavier. We want to thank you for calling in, man. And right now, this is what I tell every guest: you are no longer a guest, you're family. So anytime you want to call in any of your teammates, you want to call in once you get that first sweep, you can call in the following Sunday and talk about the experience. Talk about bring in the player who hit the game-winning run. You don't need to be a guest anymore. You can call in whenever you want to call in on Black College Experience.
Definitely, and I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate y'all welcoming me like family. I appreciate the conversation, just somebody listening to my story and hearing what I had to say, and I'll definitely be sure to call back in once we get that first sweep.
All right. Well, thank you, Xavier.
All right, we appreciate
night, sir.
All right, y'all have a great one.
All right.
Thank you.
Kels.
Bye-bye.
All right. Inspiring story, but before we get out of here, we got 2 things we got to talk about this week, which involves conference hopscotch. That's what I'm going to call it. Conference hopscotch. The end of the MEAC drama between Hampton and the MEAC has come to an end. The MEAC and Hampton have reached an agreeable terms of separation. And Hampton consents to a fine of an undisclosed amount for failing to meet the MEAC's July 1st, 2017 deadline for withdrawal from the conference. The MEAC and Hampton have agreed to terms that are fair to both parties. This agreement allows for Hampton University and the MEAC members to play as non-conference opponents in the future, and will preserve the traditional rivalries held dear by both stakeholders of the Hampton University and the MEAC. They didn't really give much detail of what the agreement was, but I am glad that that drama is over. I am glad that Hampton will be able to play their former MEAC brethren. I think that's a win-win for the MEAC and for Hampton Kills.
I agree. It's one of those. It's finally come to an end because it was really getting messy. It was getting real messy.
Yeah, but
and I'm just glad that it's over because it was getting real messy.
I wish I could have had that. I wish I could have had that messy C sound bite.
Yeah, I was getting real messy, and anytime you start to get that messy, I think they knew that it was time to go ahead and shut it down. So thank God it's over because it was full of mess.
Right, and then this story here, you tagged it to me, and the first thing I thought about was, oh Lord, are we gonna have another Hampton MEAC situation? The Claflin University has, jumped out of the SEAC and joined the CIAA, and they are official. Claflin joins the league effectively July 1st of 2018. HBCUs don't care about the year-long, wait after saying you're going to announce, and you stay in a year, then you transition that way. They're leaving like months after saying, we're out of here, and of course, Claflin just won the SEAC men's basketball tournament, championship, and now they're going to be playing in the CIAA next year. What were your thoughts, Skills, when you saw this next game of hopscotch? You
look at this conference, and the thing is that I've watched Claflin play all season, and Claflin, for Clark Atlanta, prime example, it was very hard hurdle for them. They beat them 3 times in one season. So Claflin doesn't have a football team. So when you're saying going to CIAA, now you have to look at this realistically. CIAA is a basketball conference. They really are. That's basketball over there. When you look at the SWAC, you can get basketball and football. With more football, but you can get football and basketball pulling in Texas Southern out of this conference. MEAC, you can say you can get football out of that conference too.
Kills?
But when you look at CIAA, yes.
Thought I had lost you. Go ahead.
When you look at CIAA and you look at Claflin and you look at what they pulled off, you can't help but to say, I think that it's a good idea. But I think they had some other things that they looked at in the possibility, and don't want to be premature, but just stay tuned. There's going to be a shakeup, I want to say, sometime this summer, probably in the MEAC as well. It's some more changes coming.
Oh, wow.
It's some changes coming that people don't agree with, but when you can make the move, you can make the move. I just don't like the moves when they get messy. When they get messy, it's just, and a lot of people think that Benedict should be next. People think that Benedict will be next, but we'll see what's going to happen next.
Yes, indeed. And that's all we have for this episode of Black College Experience. Kels, and your parting thoughts?
All right. So next week, make sure you tune in to Black College Experience. We do have a young man by the name of Ernest Robinson. Now, Ernest Robinson is out of VUU. He is a 3 sports. He played baseball, basketball, and football, I want to say, and he's out of VUU. He will be joining us on next week. He is a native of New Orleans, Louisiana. So make sure you tune in next week to hear his story.
All right. New Orleans boy. We'll have to have him second line. And of course,
And how did he get way to VUU? We don't know. But Yes,
indeed. So for me down here in Baton Rouge and Keisha Kelly in Atlanta and Patrick Perry up in the Delta, we are out of here with Black College Experience. Have a good night.